Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Man Always George Page coming to you live on YouTube. As you, if you follow social media and especially you follow combat sports like I do, I just heard this announcement about a few days ago, and I've been working some other stuff. You know, we have my there's some bodybuilding events coming up in a few days, and you know what I've been working so many other things that I had to talk about this. If not anything, you know, I support the sport of WMMA and MMA in general. I'm becoming a fan of MMA in the past few years. I was always a boxing fan. I was growing up. I grew up in a good part of the 80s, the latter years of Ali, the greater years of Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones, Mayweather, you know, many of those great ones, and those that are coming up and those that are past. But MMA I've become a good fan of. Now, as you know, I've often talked about the UFC, and especially their bald-headed evil Lex Luthor clone, Dana White. Well, Bellator, I've mentioned before, has also done stuff that I'm not a big fan of. They just recently cut 18 fighters from their listen. These are the fighters. It's just a picture I put together. These are not the fighters, really, the 18 fighters. But this is just, I'm not going to talk too much about the guys. But these are some guys' pictures I picked, And out of the 18 fighters, 4 are women. And, Bellator only has 2 female divisions. And I'm going to talk about where, Scott Coker might do, if I get a chance when I'm done with this video. Anyway, on the list that's on this was Beck Rollins, Rowdy Beck Rollins. And, is it Rowdy? I forgot her name. And, Beck, she was cut from the UFC no more than about a couple of years back. And, she's been fighting with Bellator. She only had 2 fights, and she was 1-1. But I think mostly she's been focused more on her, her career in the, bare knuckle boxing. She had a couple of fights there. She's been doing pretty good. She has a belt, and I think that's where she's at now. I mean, she's been in mixed martial arts for a long time. She's faced some pretty tough competition. She was one of the when she was at UFC. She was one of the original women to be part of Tough when they created the strawweight division over there. And I think she found her niche with bare knuckle. I remember her last fight. It's been a while. It's almost since last year. As you know, bare knuckle was like so many of certain combat sports were kind of out of order for a while. It wasn't too many other than UFC and maybe a few Bellator episodes every now and then, but mostly not much was going on. And let's talk about her and Paige Van Zandt. I mean, just before. And when I talk about the, what the bare knuckle can be doing, her and Paige, we knew a rivalry. As I think this weekend, Paige supposed to be fighting against Rachel Ostovich, which is I call the bras and panty match. It's like WWE. And these two will probably recreate a rivalry. And remember that how Paige beat Beck with a Danielson crane kick. Now, next on this list is also boxer / MMA fighter Heather the Heat Harden. Now, Heather's been in the game. She only been in MMA for only a short time, and and she has some struggles, but she mostly relied too much on boxing. That's the thing with Heather, and that's a good thing, but it's also the bad thing. It's like what we issued with Clarissa Shields, and Heather, she's a tough person. She's a tough girl. I would say she's a tough woman. She got a nice body too, and she's from Brooklyn. You got some thick girls from, Brooklyn. Thick white girls, too. Sorry, perfect stage. And her last fight with Bellator been almost a couple of years ago when she was up against Christina the Warhorse Williams, when she hit her with a vicious leg kick. And her face just exploded. Her nose. I mean, not since Yana Kuzskaya since I've seen a nastier, nosebleed. I mean, But like I said, it wasn't that long ago where I talked the video, was about a couple months ago where she had a fight against Jessica the Cobra. And she didn't do too well in that fight. She lost that fight by decision. But, she's still a boxer at heart. I follow her friend Melissa St. Vell on Twitter, and I told her to suggest to her about maybe for Heather to maybe do a little BJJ stuff, maybe do some submission stuff. The same thing I told about for Christian Shield. Now there was possibly maybe they was going to try to push maybe a fight between her and Beck Rollins in Bellator, but that's not going to happen. But it could happen in bare knuckle if Heather would be interested in doing bare knuckle. Bare knuckle is the way it's going. I don't think some boxers do pretty good in bare knuckle, and so it's the same thing with some MMA fighters. So I think that might be a good fight. Beck versus the Heat in bare knuckle. Now another fighter is the featherweight division, and that is Amanda Bell, the Lady Killer. And she's been there for quite some time with Bellator. I think her record was 3-4, not too good. I mean, when you have more wins and losses, that's not good. See, two things in just a fight game in general. Your win losses should never be equal, or should be more. You should never have the same amount of wins as the same amount of losses, and you should never have more losses than you have wins. That's just me, my personal opinion. And she, like I said, she faced some pretty good opponents. When she was fighting back at Invicta, she fought Megan Anderson, and she lost that fight by decision. And that's somebody we know most definitely Megan Anderson's not going to go over to Bellator. She's not going to go over there, especially Cyborg there. There's a good chance I think Megan should go over to PFL or go back to Invicta, or just do her job as a commentary. And she has a few wars. She fought some tough opponents like Arlene Blanco. She lost that fight, and her last fight she lost to Leslie the Peacemaker Smith. I think there's a possibility she loses Smith, she probably would have climbed up. But I think, if one of those two back-to-back losses to Smith and to Blanco, I think she probably would have been a contender for Cyborg. I probably would have skipped over Leslie Smith and she could have fight Cyborg, or maybe fight Julia Budd. We don't know what's going on with Julia Budd right now. Her contract in with Bellator or something is up in the air. But also one person that that's also got cut is Olga Rubin. And here's the thing, I have an issue with this. Olga Rubin is 4-2. 4-2. That means her win-loss ratio is a lot better. She has 4 wins. That means she has only 2. There's only 2 losses that there's a 2 wins separate from her 2 losses. I mean, that's just, and to me, it don't make sense. This is somebody who's you would think maybe would be a great opportunity to fight for a title again. She might have to fight somebody like possibly Arlene Blanco, or maybe Kat Zingano. You can go get Kat Zingano since Kat Zingano's too scared to fight Cyborg. And I think my manager coach did an interview with Olga. Olga seemed like a nice lady. But here's the thing about Olga. Olga lives in Israel. She's an Israeli citizen. And with the thing going on with the pandemic, travel restrictions are crazy, and Bellator's really cheap about traveling. They are not going to pay for her to come back and forth. And she has some great fights. She has faced against a favorite fighter that I really have a great respect for. That's one Miss Cindy Danois, Battle Cat. And she beat Battle Cat, and I hate that Cindy loses sometimes, but I think Cindy is a natural bantamweight. She because Bellator is they don't have only but 2 weight classes, and Sydney's a natural bantamweight. She's not a lightweight. She's not a feather. She's a natural bantam. And she also faced for the title against Julia the Jewel Budd. And I'm a fan of Julia Budd. I think she has an amazing body. And I think Julia should get away from MMA and maybe focus on maybe doing something like CrossFit, something like that. She has the physique for it. And that fight with Julia Budd was probably a tough fight for her. I mean, it's a good opportunity. And then that body shot, I tell you again, people think about this. You try to go over the head, but the body, there's you got to think about the, you hit the kidney, you hit the liver, you take out, hit some other things in the body that just shut you down. And that was a tough fight for her. But she did pretty good for as long as she could do it. As back then, Julia Budd was a champion. But I think with her, she could go to the UFC. As you know, recently they dropped a fighter by the name of Mandy Bohm, I believe, who was 7-0. And how can you draft somebody who's 7-0? And UFC just picked them. Now she's supposed to be fighting somebody. I forget who's supposed to be fighting. I think if you know who Mandy Bohm supposed to be fighting, put in the description. I forgot. I remember somebody mentioned it. I think Coach mentioned it. And I think Breaking number 9 mentioned it, and somebody else mentioned it too. But Olga is 4-2. And that's a pretty good record. And she's what, the UFC would like. She's blonde. She's attractive, And, that's the thing to push. That's what they want. This is what somebody, yes, she's Israeli, especially with going on over there with the whole bombing and everything like that, But, people are not too much of the fans of Israelis either because of what's I'm not going to get too political on that. But the fact is, Olga will be perfect over there. She could be somebody can really be, she can start, she can fight maybe, whoever's over there, left over there in that division. And you can rebuild her. And you bring some more fighters too. And hey, like I said, you still have, someone like Leah Letson, who will be a great opponent for her because Leah want to come back. She wants to come back as 145. And I think, somebody like Olga Rubin will be a great startup fight for her. Now, so Scott Coker, I want to address Scott Coker, and I kind of like you, Scott. You're number 2 behind Shannon Knabb when it comes to some of these organization people. But the problem with Scott, you need to work on your business sense, dude. You have a strong men's division. You have just about all the men's divisions and all the weight classes. But you need to work on your women. There are women who want an opportunity to go somewhere. They, some they know they never can get an opportunity to go to UFC because the UFC may not pick them because of either one reason or another. And there's some that who are Invicta who love to go someplace because now Invicta's no longer under the behest of the UFC anymore because they have now gone on their own. They will probably go someplace like Bellator. You need to develop more divisions for the women. And here's what you need to start off with. You need to create a strawweight division. Strawweight division is pretty strong. You especially look over there at Invictus and also at the UFCs. Now, here's a good example of this. You have people like Jessica Ruiz, who is a natural strawweight who's been fighting fly. Her record's not that good. But she is a pure natural strawweight. Also, Tara Graff, who's Tara Graff is a shit talker. You can use somebody like that. She's kind of like, you can use somebody like that, especially for the strawweight division. You can build that division. And these women are getting beat up. Like, Tara got knocked out by Valerie Loureda. Hey, Perfect Sage, calm down. It's not that type of party. And then, she turns around and gets beat by this Russian chick. I forgot her name, Dana, whatever it is. And, she's getting knocked out too. She's fighting girls who are bigger than her, who's pretty much outweighing her. Because like this, I know it's like this. Whenever you do the weigh-ins, when you come in 2 or 3 pounds under the weight limit, that's not your weight class. That means you're either, 30, maybe 25, 30 pounds walking around, and you have to really... maybe I think maybe she's naturally 25 pounds. That means she has to really diet down, or she's maybe 20 pounds. So that means she has to put on weight. That's the thing, that's not a good, it's not a good division for her. She needs to go where division where she's more comfortable, where she has a better chance. And then the same thing with Jessica. Jessica has a Muay Thai background. And, she's fighting, same thing like her. She's fighting women who's out for weight class. She's fighting bigger girls. The fight she had with the girl from Hawaii. I forgot her name, the samurai girl, I think that's her name is. She didn't have a chance. I mean, she put up a good fight. I saw that fight. She put up a good fight, but she didn't have a chance. The girl just beat her. She smashed her. She's not a natural flyweight. She's a natural straw. So, Scott, you had 2 fighters, and then also you recruit more fighters. And you probably have fighters that's in that division, like Wanabe. I don't think Wanabe is a real flyweight. Who got beat up by Liz Carmouche. She's probably more of a straw. There's a couple of fighters. Valerie Loureda, she's not no flyweight. Not with all that booty. Never mind. But you can recruit More stories. There's stories out there. There's been some women who've just been cut from the UFC. They want to go somewhere. They want to go back to Invicta. They can probably go to Invicta if they want. But, they don't want to go to some bargain basement organization. And Bellator, is halfway decent. It's number two. It's a number 2 organization in MMA. So why not do that, Scott? Take advice from a person who's I'm a casual, and I admit that. But I'm a person who sees that, this is what you need to do. Then also bring in the bantamweight division, because you have girls who are too small for 145. They just got to, what it is, they don't have to, what do we do when they do 145? If they're women who like maybe 160 walking around naturally, maybe 155, they don't have to cut that much, but that's not their weight division. If they're fighting people like Cyborg and Arlene Blanco and Julia Budd, who are pure 145ers, and then if you look at PFL, how, Cindy Denoir, she said she really didn't have to do much to make weight for flyweight, for lightweight, I mean, but it's just something you got to do, Scott. I'm just telling you, brother. You need to think about it. You see me all the way to this page. Don't like, subscribe, don't subscribe. I'm out.